Well, thank you very much, Ian. Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight. And welcome to this very historic night of AFL football. It's my very great pleasure to be delivering the President's address on behalf of our interim President, Peter Spargo, on such a wonderful and special night for our club, and as the centrepiece game of the AFL Women's Round. Before we talk more about this history-making night, I'd like to acknowledge some of our guests who have made tonight possible. From the AFL, Chairman of the AFL Commission, Mike Fitzpatrick, who actually isn't here right now, he's out doing medal presentations. He did say to me earlier, when you're in the middle of a speech and I leave, please don't take it personally. And also Sam Mostyn, who also isn't here at the moment because she's over with the girls as well. I would like to thank them in their absence for joining us tonight and for their support for tonight's game. Sam, I would also like to thank Sam and Linda Dessau, both commissioners with the AFL, for the great support that they've provided to Melbourne Football Club for all of our Women of Melbourne initiatives that we've undertaken during the past 5 years. To Bioceuticals for their partnership of tonight's game and events. Welcome to their Managing Director, Kerry Cunningham. Thank you, Kerry, for sharing in our passion for women and girls who play. And of course, as always, we welcome our major partners, Opal and Webjet. To the Western Bulldogs Football Club, in particular, CEO Simon Garlick, who joins us tonight, and President Peter Gordon, who's unable to be here, but both of whom immediately embraced the idea of this game when it was presented to them. Thank you very much. And finally, to an incredible woman, Sue Alberti. Sue is Western Bulldogs president for a day. We could get used to this, Sue. Hey, we're pretty good at this, don't you think? Although Sue did just say, after having lost, I don't think I want to be president anymore. So Sue is also a very long-standing and dedicated board member of the Western Bulldogs and an incredible supporter of female football. The Susan Alberti Medical Research Foundation is the co-major partner of the women's game tonight, and I know Sue has also sponsored a number of the female players in the Bulldogs side. I would also like to acknowledge Sue's long-time commitment to female football. Sue has been a most generous supporter of women's football for many years, and it is extremely fitting that she tossed the coin prior to tonight's game. Welcome to you, Sue, and I ask you all to join me in a round of applause for this extraordinary woman and a wonderful football person. An amazing role model in this fantastic game. Now to tonight's historic game. The theme of AFL Women's Round this year is talent. And for those of you who had the great privilege of being out there and have seen the curtain raiser game, wasn't there some terrific talent out there tonight? Tonight's curtain raiser game has been the culmination of the Melbourne Football Club's passion and commitment to women's footy. 4 years ago, the club began sponsoring the Victorian Women's Football League and implemented a number of programs to support women and girls who play footy. Our support of women's footy has been a major pillar of our club's community programs and has been embraced by our whole club, with our players and our coaches regularly participating in female football activities and mentoring those women and girls who play our great game. Led by the club's community manager, Debbie Lee, herself a pioneer and champion of women's footy, our club sought the support of the AFL and Western Bulldogs to bring to life tonight's game and the dream that one day a girl could not only play football, but play football for an AFL club. The idea was embraced by the AFL and by the Western Bulldogs, and many people at the three organisations have been working very hard to bring tonight's game to life. On behalf of the club, I'd like to sincerely thank the leaders at the AFL and the Western Bulldogs for sharing in our enthusiasm for this game, and for all the staff who've worked tirelessly, not only on tonight's game, but at the first ever female AFL draft held on May 15th, and at the various training sessions that have been held during the course of the past week. Female football, you may be quite surprised, but female football is the fastest growing area of participation in the AFL. There are over 136,000 women and girls playing nationally, and over 5,000 female coaches and nearly 2,000 female umpires, some of whom you've seen tonight officiating the game. There is now a complete pathway, so girls can now start playing Auskick and continue their football journey all the way to adult competition. Much progress has been made, but there is still plenty of work to be done to give women and girls playing the recognition and equal support that their male counterparts enjoy. To see number 1 draft pick Daisy Pearce grace the cover of our AFL record across the league this week, to see the sea of female footballers on the front page of The Age today, and the other wonderful coverage this game has received, tells me that the tide is definitely turning for these very talented women and girls. It is the hope of the Melbourne Football Club that tonight's game not only showcases the incredibly talented female footballers playing the game, but is the foundation to the future of women's footy and supports the AFL's vision of a nationally televised female competition by 2020. On a personal note, I was lucky enough to attend the draft for tonight's game back on May 15th, and it was one of the most magical nights I've experienced in my involvement with AFL football. The emotion of the girls and their families when their names were called out was incredibly moving. The sense of achievement and recognition the girls felt was palpable. One parent in the room, whose daughter had just been drafted, commented, "You know, I have 3 sons and 1 daughter, and I have to say, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine it would be my only daughter that was drafted to an AFL club." That dad could not have been prouder. At the Melbourne Football Club, we're incredibly proud of the work we do to support women and girls who play football, but we're even prouder of all the women and girls who play, in particular the 50 girls drafted for tonight's game. Congratulations to the Mighty D's, Melbourne Football Club, winners of tonight's game, and the inaugural Hardiman-Hampson Cup. Let's hope that this is just the beginning. Tonight represents the culmination for me of many of the projects that I've worked on since I joined the club, and I'm extremely proud of the significant role the club has played in supporting female football participation. I know the foundations are in place for the club to keep moving forward in this very important space for the game. A lot of people have put in a considerable amount of effort to get us to this point, and I'm very proud to have had the opportunity to have played a part in the team that has got us here tonight. On that note, it's with extremely mixed emotions that I would now like to announce that I have tendered my resignation as a board member of the Melbourne Football Club. It is now time for the next wave of expertise to come in to take the club forward into its new direction. Our club has embraced diversity in a very meaningful way, and I know as the board rejuvenates in the coming months, the groundwork laid in the past few years will be re-energised and continued into the future. When I was asked to consider joining the board 8 years ago, I was a true football novice. I have to admit, I'm not entirely sure that I could adequately explain a forward press, a grid, or a flood, but I have learnt that the sense of spirit and community a football club provides to everyone involved is one of the most wonderful things that I've experienced in my professional career. 2 years after initially coming onto the board, Jim Steins asked me to join him and a new board to be part of a team that he wanted to bring together at what was an extremely difficult time in the history of the club. I was very excited about what the future would hold and the opportunity to work with an exceptional team of people to save the Melbourne Football Club. So started the journey over the next 5 years, which saw the Melbourne Football Club faithful stand up, dig deep, and commit to the long-term future of our club, where we raised over $5 million to clear our debt. We moved into state-of-the-art facilities at Amy Park, and we re-engaged many of our stakeholders and supporters. Under the amazing leadership of Jim Steins, we really did some pretty amazing things, and I'm very, very proud to have been part of this. So now it's about the next phase of the journey, and I'm extremely confident that we're in very good hands with Peter Jackson, the club's new and highly credentialed and CEO and great leader of AFL. We also have some truly outstanding people within our club, both on and off the field, and together along with the welcome support of the AFL, I have no doubt that Melbourne will realise its rightful place at the top of the ladder. After 8 years, I can honestly say that I'm extremely passionate about the Melbourne Football Club, and I'd like to take a moment to thank a number of people who've made this journey an extremely memorable and enjoyable one for me, even during the tough times. To my fellow board members, whose commitment, courage and passion is absolutely unparalleled. Through the highs and the lows, I've learnt a great deal, and we've been united in our absolute desire to see Melbourne achieve greatness. To all of the staff at the Melbourne Football Club who are unwavering in their support and their dedication to our great club, especially to Jennifer Watt, a truly exceptional person who has provided incredible support to me personally and to the club for longer than the 8 years that I've been involved. To my family, and particularly my husband Graham. You see, when you sign up for a gig like this, the whole family signs up. So to my brother and his 3 children and his beautiful wife, and to my husband Graham, my sincere thanks to all of you. I couldn't have done this without you. And finally, to all of our supporters at so many levels, many of whom have become good friends. I say to you that now is the time, more than ever, to stand by our great club, to keep the faith, and as Jim would say, do whatever it takes to achieve our premiership dream. We really can do this. Thank you all for coming tonight and being part of such a wonderful night in women's footy. Of course, there is another very important game on tonight, and let's hope that it's back-to-back victories for the Mighty Demons tonight. Thank you very much for being here. And go D's!